A couple of days ago, I finally finished watching Bicycle Thieves. Um, it's hailed as one of the great films of pre-50s cinema, um, and it comes with quite a reputation. Um, when Sight and Sound first put together its very first list of the greatest films of all time, I think this was only about 3 years after the film came out, Bicycle Thieves was named the best film ever made. It is of the neorealist style, which means that it is trying to show the unvarnished truth about the lives of ordinary people, particularly because it's set in post-World War II Rome. The main character has been desperate for work, and he eventually is able to secure a job, posting bills. Simple as that. But it requires him to have a bicycle. His wife pawns the family bedclothes, which would have been quite expensive and from a dowry, so that he can buy back his bicycle from the pawn shop. And he's able to go off and set off and start his new job, posting bills. But on his first day, his bicycle is stolen. And the film details his efforts to search the city for his missing bicycle, along with his young son, knowing that without the bicycle there is no job, and without the job his family are going to be in real trouble. It's hard to watch the film now completely divorced of its reputation. For some reason I was convinced that it was a comedy. I think I might have had it confused with Chaplin or something like that. But it's a dark and serious drama, and very uncompromising about the threat of living on the poverty line. In post-war Rome, I can imagine that this was a major concern, that there was so little work to be found. But the film gradually engages you, and it's very much an overall postcard of what life in the city was like at the time. We see restaurants, we see parks, we see people coming to and from work, we see the inside of churches. It's very much a whole portrait of the city at that particular time, but with the focus being the story of this one man looking for his bicycle. Ultimately, it ends with the reason where the title comes in, the reason why it's a plural, that having exhausted every possibility and unable to convince anyone of the guilt of the man whom he is convinced is the actual bicycle thief, he sees an unattended bicycle outside a football stadium, and after a great deal of hesitancy and very obvious inner turmoil, he steals it, and he is immediately caught. And it's only when his young son begs for his father to be let go that the bicycle's owner decides not to call for the police and just tells him to be on his way. And the man and his son walk home with nothing. And it's a sad story. It's in some ways it hasn't dated, the idea of people doing anything they can just for the dignity of work. You see it in a series like Auf Wiedersehen, people travelling to other countries to work off the books just so that they can have a job, and the dignity in having a basic wage. You see it, it reminds me very much of Mike Leigh, of ordinary working class life, the realities of day-to-day life. So it's clearly a massively influential film. I would say it's a hard watch. I wouldn't call it enjoyable. That's not necessarily a negative. That means that it's a film that you feel better for having watched, but you don't necessarily enjoy it while you're watching it. So it's maybe more of a cineast's choice, that if you want to watch an enjoyable, engaging film, even something with a bit more meat to it, then even then I would not necessarily recommend it to you. It's an important film. It is a film that is worth the attention of people with the time and the patience for it. But otherwise, maybe it's not for you, and that's fine. But if in doubt, give it a try because you might surprise yourself.